Well, if you are familiar with Revelation, you've probably heard of the number 144,000. People have all sorts of theories about what that actually means, and I'm probably going to burst some bubbles today because I don't agree with most of them. So let's jump in and figure out what could this image of the 144,000 really mean in the context of what John is writing and the book of Revelation. Revelation 7, 1 through 10. After this I saw 4 angels standing at the 4 corners of the earth. They held back the earth's 4 winds so that no wind would blow against the earth, the sea, or any tree. I saw another angel coming up from the east, holding the seal of the living God. He cried out with a loud voice to the 4 angels who had been given the power to damage the earth and sea. He said, "Don't damage the earth, the sea, or the trees until we have put the seal on the foreheads of those who serve our God." Then I heard the number of those who were sealed, 144,000 sealed from every tribe of the Israelites. From the tribe of Judah, 12,000 were sealed. From the tribe of Reuben, 12,000. From the tribe of Gad, 12,000. From the tribe of Asher, 12,000. From the tribe of Naphtali, 12,000. From the tribe of Manasseh, 12,000. From the tribe of Simeon, 12,000. From the tribe of Levi, 12,000. From the tribe of Issachar, 12,000. From the tribe of Zebulun, 12,000. From the tribe of Joseph, 12,000. From the tribe of Benjamin, 12,000 were sealed. After this I looked, and there was a great crowd that no one could number. They were from every nation, tribe, people, and language. They were standing before the throne and before the Lamb. They wore white robes and held palm branches in their hands. They cried out with a loud voice, "Victory belongs to our God who sits on the throne and to the Lamb." So it's interesting, there's an interlude. Before the 7th seal is broken, we see God coming and saying, "Stop, before the final judgment comes, we're going to seal and protect and claim my people from the earth." And so this is a really powerful image of God's calling and grace and mercy to say, and the sealing, whether you're marked with the seal of God or marked later with the beast, is an important motif throughout Revelation. So God holds back the judgment, to hold back the wind and the angels of destruction. It's this pause in the midst of all of this to put God's seal on the foreheads of the people. Now, I might burst some bubbles here, but the 144,000 is not a literal number, and it does not mean just the Jewish people who will be saved in the end. And here's why I think that. One, again, we're talking about this is symbol, not code, throughout, and the number itself is highly symbolic. This is, from the 12 tribes of Israel, you have, this one is 12 times 12 times 1,000. This is like the full, complete number of God's people. If there was a way to symbolically represent, for John to say it was the fullness of God's people, this would be the number he would choose. It's 12 by 12 by 1,000. It's not meant to be a literal number. And there's another really key moment. Remember back in chapter 4, I cued us into a literary motif that John uses again and again. And you see it here, where he hears one thing, but then he looks and he sees something different. And you see that coming on right here. So he hears 144,000 from Israel. He looks, and what does he see? He looks expecting to see 144,000 from Israel, but instead he sees a great crowd that no one can count from every nation, tribe, people, and language. He looks and he sees the multitude. On top of that, I could just point out that this doesn't even line up. It's not the normal way of listing out the tribes of Israel. Usually you'd start with Reuben, the firstborn, but instead you start with Judah. Again, this kind of goes back. We saw in chapter 4, he hears Lion of Judah, which was the kingly branch, but he sees the Lamb who was slain. And so again, you have Judah coming first, kind of calling us back. Even if the hearing and seeing didn't call us back, the Judah would definitely call us back. He starts with Judah, and then he actually messes up the tribes a little bit. So Judah, there's no Dan here. Manasseh and Ephraim, or is Ephraim even there? But Manasseh's there, but Joseph wasn't one of the tribes. Joseph's sons, Ephraim and Manasseh, became the 12 tribes of Israel. Levi wasn't supposed to be there because Levi was the priestly caste. And so there's a lot of, so you're missing Dan, you're missing Ephraim. You've added in Joseph, even though Joseph's partly represented by Manasseh himself. And so, and we don't have time to unpack all of that, but there's clearly something more symbolic going on here than meets the eye. And then the fact that he hears them counting the number, 144,000 sealed from every tribe of the Israelites. He looks and he sees, actually, it's turned into a great crowd that no one can count, from every tribe, nation, people, and language. I think what we're supposed to see here is who is sealed, who is of God's people. And it looks like a symbolic representation. This is the completeness of God's holy people, the Israelites. But who are the Israelites? Who are the ones that have been saved? The ones that God called from the beginning and who are part of God's family? Actually, when you turn and look, it's God's plan from the beginning was that his people would comprise every nation, every tribe, every people, every language. And so when he turns and looks, that's what he sees. This is this great picture of it's not just for a select few, but it's for everybody. And so right before all the final devastation and the rest of Revelation comes out, God stops. He seals his people with a mark on their forehead. And this multitude from every tribe, nation, people, and language become Israel, become the true Israelites, the true people of God. Now, of course, God's heart is still for his Jewish people, and they are a part of that. But I don't think we're supposed to read into this like some future code that there's going to be 144,000 saved of Jewish blood. That's not actually what's going on here. There's something more symbolic, deep, more universal, timeless happening here.